So the Doraville train went straight to the airport. It was a single-seat ride. The North Springs train changed like it normally does. And then this morning, with the commuters and the volume of people that we see at the airport, we put the shuttle back in place because we can move a lot more people quicker with the shuttle.
Are we any further along in knowing why it happened?
At this point in time, we're still investigating, but the plan is to get the vehicles out of the way so we have full line of sight of all the information, and then we'll be out there investigating and understanding. I had mentioned that it's a rail car. It rides on a rail system, and there's a rail wheel interface, and there's an interaction between the car and the rail itself. So we'll be studying those two aspects to determine what the issue was. I want to repeat, though, it was an out-of-service train with only an operator on the train, and they were making a crossover move to go into our South Yard facility. So the good news is there weren't a lot of folks involved.
So once the train is back on the tracks, when will that route be used?
So what we're planning on doing is when we put the train back on a good track, we're either going to use another vehicle or a locomotive, and we're going to tow the vehicles into the South Yard. When we pick the vehicles and pick them up, we won't obviously put them on damaged track. We'll put them on fresh track, good track. Now the 4 other cars that were there that were not involved were sitting fine, proper alignment, sitting on the rail system. So it's likely we'll swing the rail cars over there to that same point, and then we can take them easily into our South Yard facility.
So when will that be?
Well, once the pick is done and we move the vehicles this afternoon, as soon as we get the vehicles set, one at a time, we will tow them in. So again, our schedule optimistically is by sundown today, we would love to have those 2 cars off the bridge and in our rail facility.
Is the track damaged?
The track immediately underneath one of the vehicles has sustained damage. The rest of the tracks adjacent to that area, the tracks are fine.
And so you'll have to fix the track?
Yes. In fact, last night when we got the 4 cars removed, wherever we could get access to, we already started repairs. So our goal is get the trains out of there and go straight to work. Our maintenance of way workers are there, ready, and as soon as we get the vehicles out and roll them out of there, we will bring the crews in and we'll work around the clock to make repairs.
How long does that take?
The repairs, it could take about a day or 2. Now the good news is both tracks on the outside are in good usable condition. So it's the interlocking, the crossover tracks, which are not necessary. I can run trains into the yard directly from College Park Station. There's a rail right here and we can run them into the yard. So it creates a little bit of a longer trip to get in the yard, but it doesn't obstruct service or getting in the yard.
Our viewers have been asking us a lot of questions. One of them is, what took so long? Why has the train been Tuesday?
So the situation is safety is our priority. And what we wanted to make sure is that once the situation happened, it was fully assessed, and we realized that there was damage up on the bridge, and we had a clear path to run service. We immediately checked the distance between the tracks over there and found out we could run to the airport. So safety was number 1, shoring up the vehicles, making sure they didn't move, and they were sitting and they were solid, and nobody was injured. Number 2 was restoring service. Then a plan, picking a crane, bringing it in, uncoupling the cars. The cars are a little bit under pressure because they were butted against each other. So we're going slow and methodically as long as we know service is running and we can manage. And we flooded the stations with lots of staff to help move the patrons. In fact, I just rode a southbound College Park train, and they had the shuttle train waiting across the platform and took the folks right into the station. So it's better to be slow, methodical, and tactical. Nothing's delayed. It's just to do it right and to do it safely. We can do it because we have the luxury of running rail service right now.
Did you have to move people's cars to get that crane in? Were people's cars still away?
And yeah, we met with the airport personnel over several days. And I have to say the airport folks are very easy to work with and were very supportive. We brought the crane operators up and let the crane operators look at the bridge, look at the parking, get the logistics down. They identified where it was recommended to put the crane. Then we got with airport personnel, and airport personnel worked to clear us a path to put the crane in.
With the Super Bowl coming up so soon, people express their concerns about what if this happens when hundreds of thousands of people are here in Atlanta? What if people are on a train that actually derails? How can you make people feel comfortable about that?
Well, what I can say is we have well-maintained track and we have well-maintained rail cars. We also have a response team that has done a wonderful job. our safety department, our police department, our rail operations department, our customer service department. What it's proving to me is that you don't know what type of incidents you're going to be up against, but it's really your ability to respond. So our plan, once we knew this issue happened, and we realized the cars on the bridge were not going to move very quickly, we immediately went to a service strategy plan. So we are prepared for the Super Bowl. We're actually very excited for the Super Bowl, despite the challenges that we have, because we're looking forward to representing Atlanta and doing a great job. So we are prepared, we are trained, and we're ready to respond, because as you know, a large city, a Super Bowl, large population, maybe a lot of celebrations going on, there's a lot of things that could go on, but with our police, safety, and our operations group, we're ready to take on the challenge.
When people hear crane and a train derailed, I think that they think it's going to be this dramatic, picking it up. Can you describe what it's actually going to be?
Yeah, it could be a little underwhelming. The fact that it's on an aerial structure and effectively sitting on a bridge, to reach it, to get to it, to pick it and grab it, one rail car, we're going to move it inches. And the other rail car, we may have to pick it up and move it a couple of feet. It won't be a high dramatic lift. Really what we're doing is we're setting the rail cars back onto the tracks, and we've looked at the trucks, which the wheels are connected to. They're in good shape. So effectively we're just picking the rail car up, sliding it over. I don't anticipating it being very dramatic. It'll be a very slow, if not boring maneuver to watch the trains being put back on the tracks.
Are you able to explain, like, when the conductor was on that train and it came off the tracks, like, did the conductor have to do something like slam on the brakes, or like, how did that go?
So what transpired is the train was heading northbound out of the airport, making a crossover move. The first 4 cars went through the crossover move clean, and the remaining 2 cars, cars 5 and 6, had trouble getting through the interlocking. At that point in time, once the cars derailed, they contacted the 3rd rail, which is the power. The power tripped the breakers, killed the power underneath the vehicle. There was a small fire that existed that was extinguished, but the reality is there was a little damage to the undercar of the vehicle, and the vehicle will automatically stop. Once the vehicle stops, the operator gets out of the vehicle and will walk around the vehicle and inspect it. Simultaneously, we had a superintendent that was at the airport station, and he heard a pop or a boom or a sound, so he also responded. So the car stopped, the condition was safe, they walked around, inspected it, reported it, and that's when we call response personnel to come in.
Last night the bus bridge was to East Point. Did that have anything to do with the airport?
No, the consistent bridge that we've been running so far has been a bus bridge from College Park to airport and the shuttle to the airport. If there was any other additional bus service, it was just an adjustment in routes.
So the bus bridge is to and from College Park.
Yes, and we brought in our articulated buses, our larger buses. It's a very, very short ride to the airport. So what happens is our bus patrons have a choice to get on the bus shuttle, and our rail patrons just have to walk across the platform and get on the shuttle. We wanted to make it as convenient as possible, and as you can see, we've brought a bunch of personnel out to help people navigate the system. They have a pattern, they're used to going to the airport a certain way, and what we want to make sure is there's no confusion.
Will riders incur any of the costs of the crane having to come in?
No, this is a situation where we're used to dealing with situations. There's going to be no extra additional situation here. We're prepared for and ready to respond to emergencies, and this won't affect the patrons at all.
So, I want to make sure I understand. It doesn't sound like you know yet or can say how quickly you won't need the bridge.
I'm sorry, could you repeat
How
that?
quickly you won't need the bridge, the bus bridge.
Well, our anticipation, again, last night we didn't use the bridge. Last night we ran regular service. The reason we're running the bridges is the volume of people that come in and out of the airport. In the evenings, traffic is light. We ran service straight into the airport. So our goal is, in the evening, we'll run regular service to the airport, but what I'd like to say at sundown today is that the 2 remaining cars are off the bridge and that the tracks are open, and for the most part, we're running normal service. But again, I'm being optimistic. I want to make sure we do this safely and cautiously. I don't want to overpromise, so we're working very hard.
Possibly tonight.
Yes.
Those 2 cars that were malfunctioned, do you anticipate them being put back into service once you check them out and you get the okay that they're okay?
So the cars are reusable. They did sustain some damage, but what we will do in order to do a thorough investigation, not only the 4 cars that we've already put at the South Yard, but we'll bring the 2 cars in, and we have subject matter experts and some independent experts that we bring in, and we look over both the cars and the trackway. So we're in no rush to put the vehicles back into service. We want to make sure we study everything and we understand exactly what transpired.